Welcome to Education Spotlight, where we highlight transformative initiatives within the Ministry of Education, Guyana. Today we dive into the exciting topic of technical and vocational education training, also known as TVET. This crucial sector is reshaping the future of our youth, equipping them with vital skills that are important for both personal and national development.
TVET stands for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. And so technical education, it is very, very important given what is our current evolving landscape here in Guyana. By extension, globally, technical education is seen as that driving force or that vehicle, given where Guyana is envisioned to be. Technical education plays a significant role in ensuring that, one, we prepare a cohort of students who are competent, who possesses the right set of skills, attitudes, so that they can gain an employment in the existing local space, as well as further afield. They can make a significant, tangible, a purposeful contribution to their respective spaces, that is traditional spaces as well as the emerging spaces in Guyana. And it's further important that after one would have received a skill certificate, and we are talking here about a CVQ certificate, which is the Caribbean Vocational Qualification. Once one would have received a CVQ, level 1, level 2, level 3, it means that they can have an upward mobility in terms of pursuing higher education. They can go to the GTI, the ETI, the LTI, and any one of our post-secondary institutions, and by extension, the Guyana School of Agriculture, the University of Guyana, and they can solidly gain an admission to do any higher level qualification. So TVET is fundamentally important, especially in the context of Guyana and where we are positioned as it relates to Guyana moving to higher heights. As we know, we have a strategic plan, the Ministry of Education, we have a strategic plan, and the strategic plan carefully delineates in a very systematic manner what is the vision for technical education. So as we speak, we have 72 secondary schools that were submitted to the CXC for them to be subjected to what we call the quality assurance audit to implement the CVQ programs. And so out of that 72 schools, or those 72 schools, we can safely say at the Ministry of Education, we are working in realizing that vision, that by 2025 we'll have 116 schools, excluding the ones coming on board. So as we speak, we have 43 of those schools across the spread of this country that are offering CVQ Level 1 programs. We have another 32 schools that we are awaiting reports from the CXC to say to us, are we in that state of readiness to roll out in another 32 schools? And I am firmly of the belief, based on the feedback sessions that we have had with CXC, our 32 schools will be moving in that direction. As of last week, another submission was made to CXC asking for another 22 schools to come on board for 2025. So it means that we are aggressively realizing the vision, which is to ensure that every single child, they're exposed to a skill training and they can exit with a skill certificate as well as a CXC certificate. So we are rolling out the CVQ programs. We have the SCCP program, which is a secondary competency certificate program that is currently being implemented across 32 schools in our country. And of course, that sets the baseline for persons to move to CVQ. So CVQ we're rolling out as an initiative. We are implementing new programs. So we started with 4. We are now moving to close to 22 programs. So by 2025, we should have 22 programs on stream. And of course, we should have our 116 schools on board. Of course, massively, we're ensuring that our tools and equipment are in those schools, the retrofitting, the refurbishing, the expansion of laboratories, workshops, they are done simultaneously to ensure that we can facilitate. We are training our TVET pedagogues. Those are the teachers who are responsible for the delivery of this new modus of education. We call it competency-based education and training. So we are currently training our teachers, and we are working to prepare what we call teaching learning materials, TVET teaching learning materials, so that every teacher can have a learner guide, a resource booklet, and of course, with the ministry's EMIS on stream, how do we digitize and have those information shared on those platforms so that students in our hinterland, they can have access to the teaching learning materials as we speak. Another massive intervention activity is that we are rolling out 6 new TVET centers across this country. So last week we had the first commissioning in Northwest Secondary, where we had the Honorable Minister of Education, and we had the Honorable Minister of Water and Housing and Water, Minister Cole. We had the CEO along with other key personnel, the regional administration, coming together as a comprehensive unit and team, celebrating the importance of technical education. And so we had a massive commissioning, and so students can now benefit from region number 1, from quality, relevance of technical education. Subsequently, we will have the BV-PIC, the Hopetown PIC, the Fellowship PIC, the Bartica Secondary, and the St. Ignatius Secondary. Respectively, we will have those commissioning, and those are slated to happen before the end of October. In the strategic vision of the Ministry of Education as well, here is where we're talking about bridging the gap, right? Bridging the gap. So, bridging the gap from coastland to hinterland. So the ministry's intention is that whatever services are provided to our students on the coastal, we want to ensure that same service is given to our students in regions number 1, 7, 8, and 9, and even the sub-areas within those regions. And so as we speak, we know massively through the Office of the Deputy Chief Education Officer with responsibility for Amerindian Hinterland Education Development, and of course with the MISU, the Management Information and Systems Unit of the Ministry of Education, EduFM, and key agencies within the Ministry of Education, we are working to ensure that we bridge that gap, one, with connectivity. Of course, we are working closely with the Office of the Prime Minister as well, NDMA, to ensure that connectivity is at each and every school within the hinterland, so that we can have quality teaching, learning, and delivery happening at the school. So as we speak, regions are moving in that direction of having the connectivity set up. As you know as well, the Ministry of Education is on that massive rollout in constructing schools in the hinterland. And so with the construction of these new schools in the hinterland, they would be offsetted with the ICT component, the TVET component, to run quality TVET programs, and by extension, all the other programs that are offered by the Ministry of Education. Right, and that's a very, very important question. I mean, globally, TVET is all about technologies, right? It's all about incorporating novice technology into what we do, so that we can have students who are, as we said, current and relevant and marketable in the various spaces. So we have what we call simulators. So we are operating, as we know, we are Industrial Revolution 4.0, and we're talking about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. And so at our institutions, we have our students exposed to what we call simulated or virtual reality learning. So for example, welding, we have our students in a space, in a simulated space, and they can use the technology in actually completing a weld, for example. They can use the technology that is that's available, and they can complete the weld. And they do that until they perfect that piece of welding. And once they would have mastered that virtually, then they translate that into a physical space where they will actually be holding a welding rod and the welding equipment, and they will now demonstrate physically a piece of welding to test their competencies in what they're doing. So we have moved in the direction of exposing our students to the virtual reality, the virtual space, where they're in a space, they have something that they're immersed in, they can feel, they can touch, they get the same reaction as if they're welding a piece of material, but just that you're not physically welding something, right? So that is where we would have moved in terms of the integration of the technology. We are talking about the automation, where we're talking about CNC, computer numerical control. This is about lathe operation. So how do we move from a manually operated lathe to a more computerized operation? And so at our institutions, we have CNC lathes. And as we speak, we are moving in a direction to have our lecturers and our teachers who are expected to receive the training. We are in discussion with some regional partners where we can sign up an MOU and start the movement in terms of them benefiting from those skills so that they can come back here and they can disseminate so that our students can benefit significantly from the new skills, because this is what the world of work is asking of them, right? We are talking about PLC, program logic control. This is a full automation that uses a sensor system. For example, in agriculture, we are accustomed to picking up probably a bucket or a water can, and at a certain time of the day, and we would fill that water can and we walk down and we pour the water on the bank where those crops are. So with the PLC is about setting up what we call sensor system in an irrigation, where at a certain point or time, it kicks in, and then we will find the water, flourishing across the crops. And then after a certain time again, because it works with a sensor, it shuts off. So these are things that we're working with in PLC and manufacturing. Understanding the processes of manufacturing, and so we're moving in that direction of implementing that kind of technology. The other newness of technology we're talking about solar. We are going solar these days, and so we are exposing our students to what we call the photovoltaic technology, right? How we can build the solar panels and install them. And so we move away from our traditional electricity, and we can go green as well, because everything that we do, the overarching theme is green TVET. Right, so I want to say that significantly, the Ministry of Education would have made strides, and it is evident as it relates to the visibility of technical education. I can say very firmly, as the Deputy Chief Education Officer with responsibility for technical at the Ministry of Education, we have seen vast changes as it relates to, one, the perception of persons for technical education, and the mindset. We are moving in the direction of changing the mindsets of people and how they would have perceived technical education initially. And so we are at the right junction, the right place, where every single entity, they are speaking the language of technical education. From the private sector, the public agencies, the manufacturing agencies, the corporates, hospitality, tourism, and all the other key people. They're all aligned to that extent where they're now realizing the importance of technical education. And so my word to our populace is that technical education is that driving force that will significantly contribute to national growth and development of our country. And of course, it will change the socio-economic landscape. And as a result of that, it means therefore that it requires a collaborative effort. It requires for us to partner. It requires for us to share information in our respective spaces so that at a unified level, we can able to realize that phrase that is posited by the minister, TVET can save us. TVET is on the move, and we can do that only with a hands-on, minds-on, and a hearts-on approach. And so, finally on that too, the Ministry of Education, the government of Guyana would have moved in the direction to ensure that we realize this national vision. For the first time in the history of this country, I firmly believe that there is a comprehensive framework in the form of a policy direction that will guide us for the next 10 years or so in realizing what is enveloping in our country. And of course, this policy, it is very comprehensive. It speaks to the private sector engagement, public sector engagement, the levy system, dealing with persons with disabilities, the inclusion of persons to education, a comprehensive governance structure for the management, the coordination of technical education. And so with this comprehensive document, once it gets into the spaces of this ethos that we are occupying, and more so the key agencies and ministries that are responsible, I firmly believe that indeed we will realize as a people the importance of technical education. So I want to encourage all our people to ensure that we spread the message and we support the initiatives, the activities, the programs that are coming out of the Ministry of Education, by extension, all the other key agencies, so that at the end of the day, we can prepare a cohort of people who are skillful, who are competent, who possess the right work ethics and attitudes to make that transformational contribution to a rapidly evolving landscape.
Furnace making.
I'm studying welding.
I'm studying electrical installation.
I'm studying electrical installation.
I am studying general construction.
I am studying motor vehicle repairs.
I'm studying computer science.
I'm studying science, majoring in chemistry.
That's a wrap on this episode of Education Spotlight. Stay tuned for more stories on innovation and progress as we continue to explore efforts that are redefining education. I'm your host, Sheena Henry, and until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and keep shining.